Look up at the sky. It's blue, obviously. Now here is something strange for most of human history. Nobody ever said that. In the oldest stories we have, the sky is never once described as blue, and neither is the sea. Take Homer, the ancient Greek poet. In the Iliad and the Odyssey, tens of thousands of lines, he describes the sea over and over, but he never calls it blue. He calls it famously the wine-dark sea. He describes honey as green, sheep as violet. And the sky, that enormous blue thing stretched over everything, he never gives it the color at all. For a long time, people thought, well, maybe that is just poetry, but then someone actually counted. In the 1850s, a scholar named William Gladstone, who would later become the Prime Minister of Britain, went through all of Homer line by line, cataloging every mention of color, and he found something bizarre. Black appears nearly 200 times, white around 100, red a few dozen, but blue appears 0 times. It simply is not there. And here is where it gets stranger. This is not just a Greek thing. When people went looking through the oldest texts of other ancient cultures, they found the same gap again and again. Ancient Hebrew, ancient Chinese, early Icelandic sagas. Almost none of them had a word for blue, the one color that fills half of everything you look at, and for most of human history, humanity had no name for it. So the obvious question is, were these people just colorblind? Could they physically not see it? And the answer is no. Their eyes were exactly like yours. This is not about the eye at all. It is about something much stranger, hiding inside the way we learn to see. Because it turns out, colors do not get named in a random order. In the 1960s, 2 researchers went through language after language, and they discovered something almost unbelievable. Across the entire world, cultures name colors in nearly the same sequence. If a language has only 2 color words, they are always black and white. The third to appear is always red, then usually green and yellow. And blue. Blue is almost always dead last. The final color a culture learns to name over and over all around the world. It is as if every human society on every continent climbs the exact same ladder of color in the exact same order and only reaches blue at the very top. So what is so special about blue? Why is it always the last one we see? To answer that, you have to notice something you have probably never noticed, something about the world itself. Go looking for blue in nature, and you will find almost nothing. Think about it. There is no blue food, no blue fruit, no blue vegetable that is truly blue. There are no blue animals you meet day to day, no blue trees, no blue soil, no blue stone lying on the ground. For almost everything our ancestors could touch or eat or point at, blue simply was not there. The 2 big exceptions are the sky and the sea. But look closer, and even those are strange. You cannot hold the sky, you cannot pick up the sea and carry it home. They are not objects. They are vast, shifting, untouchable backgrounds, and often they are not even really blue. The sea is gray and green and almost black. The sky is white at noon and orange at dusk. Blue, it turns out, is the color of things you can never actually grab. And then there is the deepest twist of all, because even the few blue things that do exist are hiding a secret. They are not really blue. Look at a blue jay, or the shimmering wing of a blue butterfly, or a person's blue eyes. Almost none of them contain any blue pigment at all. Their color is a trick of physics, tiny invisible structures that scatter light and bounce only the blue part back to you. If you took that blue feather and crushed it into powder, the blue would vanish, and you would be left holding a little pile of dull gray. The blue was never a substance. It was an illusion made of light. So put yourself in the mind of an ancient human. Blue is not in your food. It is not in the animals or the plants around you. The only blue you ever see is in two things you can never hold that are not even reliably blue, and every so often in a bird or a stone that is only faking it. Of course, you never made a word for it. Why would you name a color that has almost nothing in the world to attach it to? There is one beautiful piece of evidence for this. In the entire ancient world, there was really only one culture that had a solid early word for blue: the Egyptians. And the Egyptians were also the one culture that had figured out how to manufacture blue. They invented the first artificial pigment in history, a brilliant blue they cooked up from sand and copper and fire. They made blue with their own hands, and so, unlike everyone else, they had every reason to name it. You name a color when you can finally point to it. And blue was the last color the world gave us anything to point at. But this raises one final, unsettling question. If they had no word for blue, when they looked up at that same sky, did they even see what you see? And here we have an actual answer, because there is a people alive today who can show us. A tribe in Namibia called the Himba. In their language, there is no separate word for blue. Blue and green are simply the same color. And when researchers showed them a circle of squares, 11 of them green and one of them clearly, obviously blue, many of them could not pick out the blue one. The odd square that jumps out at you instantly was, to them, nearly invisible. But here is the flip side. The Himba have many words for shades of green that we lump together as one. And when shown greens that look completely identical to you and me, they spot the odd one out in a heartbeat. Read that again. The word does not just describe what they see. The word changes what they can see. Where they have names, the world sharpens into focus. Where they do not, it blurs together and slips away. And that is the real story of the color blue. It was never that our ancestors had broken eyes. It is that color is not something the world simply hands to you. It is something your language quietly teaches your mind to carve out of an endless smear of light. The sky was always there. The word for it was not. And the moment we finally learned to say blue, we began, for the first time, to truly see it. So the next time you look up, remember what you are really looking at, not just the sky, the single hardest color our entire species ever learned to see, filling half the world and waiting all along for a word.